What's up guys, Tommy Bowie here from Move Rewind, and today I'll be listing some Doctor Who villains I would like to see return. So without further ado, let's get into it. Since its revival, Doctor Who has given us some fantastic villains, and some have become just as iconic as their classic counterparts. Think the Weeping Angels, the Ood, the Silence. These are great villains, but some villains have only made one or two appearances. So I thought today it would be a great idea for me to list 5 villains which I would love to see Russell T Davies bring back now that his new era is underway. Obviously, a couple of disclaimers before we get into it. Firstly, this is my opinion, so obviously, yeah, it's my opinion. Secondly, I've only really watched the revival of Doctor Who. I've never really got into classic Who, so please bear that in mind. And thirdly, please feel free to comment your own choices down below. I would love to hear from them. Now that that's out the way, let's talk about some villains. The first villain I would love to see return to Doctor Who is the Flood. Of course, appeared in the iconic episode The Waters of Mars near the end of the David Tennant era. And I have to say, the Flood were a terrifying villain because of the concept of them. The idea that just a single drop of water would infect you, I think was very creepy, it was very intense, plus they look terrifying. I remember the first time I saw this episode, I was 9 years old at the time, and they did scare me. I was petrified of the Flood. So I think they'd be a great villain to see return to the show. As I said, they came near the end of Russell T Davies' initial stint as showrunner, so I think if anyone could bring the Flood back in a threatening way, it would be Davies who could do it. So I'd love to see the Flood. I think they're a terrifying villain, and I honestly think they have the potential to kind of be like the Weeping Angels, a very scary villain which terrifies viewers every episode they appear in. Another villain I would love to see return to Doctor Who is the Trickster. Now I know I'm cheating a bit because the Trickster only appeared in the Sarah Jane Adventures, but from that episode, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith, in which the Doctor and Trickster interacted, I've always thought there's the potential for the Trickster to be a really strong Doctor Who villain, especially an overarching villain over a series, let's say, where he's trying to manipulate the Doctor and try and wipe him out of existence and control his actions. I just think that the Trickster has so much potential. Great design, a great voice, and he's like the Doctor's equal in many ways. So I honestly think the Trickster would be a great addition to introduce to Doctor Who as a proper villain. I think that there's a lot of history there, there's a lot of potential there. You could do a lot with a villain like that, have a master manipulator, someone who is truly the Doctor's equal, a lot like the Master. So yeah, I would definitely want to see the Trickster in Doctor Who. I think he'd be fantastic, especially as like a main villain. We're heading to the early Capaldi era now, and the Boneless. The Boneless only appeared in the Series 8 episode Flatline, but I think much like the other two on this list that I've talked about so far, there is a lot of potential there. The Boneless, we never really got to the bottom of what they are. They were from this two-dimensional dimension, and the Doctor never really understood whether they were good or evil. Did they actually mean to kill these humans, or were they just searching for a way to come into a three-dimensional world? So I think that the Boneless have a lot of potential there. I think they're very creepy, they're a very scary villain. They would keep the audiences on their toes. I honestly think that if you bring the Boneless back, you have to bring back Jamie Matheson, who was the writer of that episode, because obviously I think they were his creation and he did a great job, and he clearly is very good at coming up with unique and interesting villains from the episodes he does. So I'd definitely like to see the Boneless. They were one of the highlights of the early Capaldi era, and I think that if Russell T Davies brought them back in his new era, we'd have some classic moments with them. Next, we have Gus. And some of you may be asking, who the hell is Gus? I've never heard of a Doctor Who villain called Gus. Well, Gus was the mastermind behind The Mummy on the Orient Express. Now, The Mummy on the Orient Express, probably my favourite Peter Capaldi episode. I just think it's amazing in every way. No surprise it was written by Jamie Matheson. He is someone who just understood the 12th Doctor and knew exactly all the qualities needed to make a great episode of Doctor Who. Gus was this computer which was constantly talking to the Doctor and wanting him and the scientists to kind of solve the mystery of the mummy and try and understand how how to stop it or what its mission was. And he honestly didn't care if all the scientists and the Doctor and Clara died. He honestly didn't care. He just wanted to play this manipulative game. And I always thought that Gus had great potential because we never actually find out who Gus is. Gus decides after the mummy has been defeated to just blow up the train and remove all witnesses. Obviously the Doctor manages to save everyone, but I still think Gus has great potential, much like I said about the Trickster, to be an overarching villain who's manipulating events. I just think that Gus has a lot of potential there. They could do a lot with that character. I also like the fact that we never really get to the bottom of who Gus is. I think if they brought this character back, they should keep that mysterious nature, because that creates viewer intrigue, because you have people speculating all the time who Gus really is. So yeah, he might not be a very well-known villain, but I think Gus has a lot of potential to be a great villain. Last but not least, we have the Vashta Nerada. Now, it's hard to believe, despite how iconic the Vashta Nerada are, they only appeared in 2 episodes of Doctor Who in Series 4. The Vashta Nerada, much like the Flood, it's scary because it's an everyday thing. It's shadows. And as the Doctor says, the Vashta Nerada is not in every shadow, but every shadow could be the Vashta Nerada. So that's a great idea. It already adds an intensity to the episode because these creatures could be anywhere and they can kill a person in seconds. I think that the Vashta Nerada would be a great villain for Russell T Davies to bring back. I'd especially like to see them on Earth for the simple reason, I think if you brought the Vashta Nerada to Earth, then it feels real. The stakes are high because these are villains which could, if they wanted to, devour the human race, and there's nothing the human race could really do about it. So I think that the Vashta Nerada, out of all the villains I've talked about, and I want to see all of these villains brought back to be fair, but the Vashta Nerada, they would be my top pick because I think they're scary, they're an iconic villain, and it's sad that they've only ever been used in one Doctor Who story before, because I just think that they're so iconic, they have so much potential. So Russell T Davies, if you're listening, which I don't think you will be, but if you are listening, bring them back. So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved quality content in the future. We don't have long till the 60th anniversary now, and to be honest, I'm very, very excited. I haven't been this excited for Doctor Who since probably Series 10 in 2017. So yeah, I can't wait, and I'm pretty sure we've already got a lot of people doubting whether Russell T Davies can pull it off, but I think he's going to. You know, I think he's going to. I think we're entering a new golden era of Doctor Who, and I am very looking forward to it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in another one. See ya!